are here for the debut episode of the Good Time Sports Report podcast. Along with my co-host, Bob Sullivan, I am Andrew Vigliotti, and it is great to be here for the debut podcast. And I've been excited to do this. We've known each other for less than a week, and a lot of planning has gone into the show, and it's great to finally get it going, Bob.
Oh, absolutely! It's going to be It's exciting for us. Hopefully, it's as exciting for the fans as it is exciting for us. And I think we got a good set of topics here. I mean, hopefully we don't get Mickey Moused again on the recording side of things, but we'll do what we can for you fans out there, huh?
Yeah, that was unfortunate about yesterday. But when things don't work out your way, you got to try it again. You can't give up on things, right? That was some technical difficulties that hopefully don't happen on us again. And the mission of this show is pretty much to have a good time, but also to give a lot of sports debate out there. Obviously, a lot of people are sports fans, and we are the same, but we also have credentials with radio and with journalism, so we try to bring the best debates we can and bring the best professionalism radio to the table. I know, you have your own radio show as well. Why don't you fill your listeners, potential new listeners, in about your radio show?
Well, I have it's called the Bob Sullivan Show. It airs on YouTube. I've done about 125 episodes. It's me basically. It's more of a hostage situation than it is a talk show, because somebody's trapped with me for a good hour or so, just listening to me talk to them about either their career or talk about sports. I love to talk, and that show is living proof of me loving to talk. And there's a lot of, I also write a blog. You can find that on sportsrants.com. That's rants with a Z / Bob Sullivan Show, and I have several writers on there that are very good at what they do, and soon you'll be able to hear this show on that website, and you'll also be able to hear a show Andrew does. And why don't you tell everybody about your show that you're going to be starting up on?
Thank you very much, Bob.
Yeah.
My show will be airing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting next week. And I believe the first date is June 11th, Monday, at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. It's called Interactive Sports Talk. For those of you listening to this podcast that are familiar with the show, I used to co-host it as Interactive Sports Talk, but we went on a little hiatus due to, I'm finishing up school, and my partner kind of bailed on me, but we won't name that partner, for those of you who don't know, because he is one of my best friends, and we are still best friends, so it just didn't work out with him. But anyways, the show is coming back, but to give you some of my credentials, I just graduated from Luke College in Frederick, Maryland, at the four-year institution with a degree in broadcast journalism, so I am familiar with the radio business a little bit, and I do cover the Baltimore Orioles organization, I used to cover it for Scout, FoxSports.com, and ScoutInsideTheOs.com. I interned there last year, and I still do writing for them for BirdsWatcher.com, which is Fansided.com. So check that out. I cover mainly the minor leagues. I've covered many of all the Orioles' top prospects the last couple of years: Manny Machado, Jonathan Still, Bobby Bundy, and now the number one prospect in baseball, Dylan Bundy, among many others. So I do have the experience you want in terms of minor leagues and a lot of prospects. So if you want to follow me for prospect news or whatever, follow me at Andrew_Vig. And you can also follow Bob and follow his show on Twitter at Bob Sullivan Show. And also the show on Twitter, our show, is Good Time Sports PD, and that's SPRTS.
Yeah.
Not SPORTS, and that's not because Bob was lazy and decided not to put the O there. It's because apparently Twitter doesn't have enough characters where you can make that big of a name, right?
That's correct. I was not being lazy on that. As much as I'd like to admit I was being lazy, I was not lazy on that. And I do know how to spell. So that wasn't the case
Well, that's
either.
good. I would hope so.
Mm-hmm.
You're my co-host, so I would hope that you know how to spell. Let's go into our first segment.
I can spell. I can spell good. I wouldn't say I can spell well though.
All right. Well, let's go on to our first topic here. And that was an amazing night last night. I was happy, and I'm sure a lot of people across the country that are Thunder fans, especially in Oklahoma, were happy last night with the Oklahoma City Thunder clinching their victory and a berth in the NBA Finals with a 107-99 victory over the San Antonio Spurs. I believe they were the 13th team in NBA history I have to look that up again, to come back down 2-0 to win the series 4-2. There are not very many. Actually, they were the 6th, 7th team. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, either way, not very many teams have done it.
Yeah.
So it was an amazing feat by especially the stars on the team who are 23, 23, and 22 years old. You just don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't see that
ever
anymore.
It's not a matter of whether it was if it happened before. It's never happened, and that's I don't know whether that says more about the players' attitude, how they carry themselves, or if it says more about the ownership and the people doing the drafting and coaching knowing how to get that youth into being competitive, and not only competitive, but being confident to finish off a team like the Spurs.
Now, anything that goes to with attitude, we knew that the Spurs were going to come out, and you would expect the Spurs to come out with their fighting attitude as they did last night. They got off to a great start, especially Steven Jackson.
I love Steven Jackson.
He was, I believe, 6 of 6 from three-point range.
Yeah.
At one point last night, every shot was going in. I was like, this man has to miss a shot sometime, and he wasn't until the second half. The team shot lights out in the first half. It was incredible. They were up as much as 18 in the second quarter, and then a great shot by Durant near the end of the half that goes 7 to 15. Not insurmountable, obviously, but obviously it's something that Scott Brooks and the coaching staff went into the locker room and said, hey, what are we doing here? Right. You guys want this. And if you do, your body language isn't showing it. You're not aggressive. You're not taking the ball to the hole. Didn't have any free throw shots in the first half. It seemed like the Spurs were getting all the calls, whether they were bad or not. They weren't getting any calls. It seemed like as the second half started, everything just changed.
Well, it was more of I wouldn't say the Spurs were getting in the first half. It was just a matter of the Spurs were just the aggressor in that first half, and they were getting the calls because they were aggressive, and the Thunder were playing not to lose, and the Thunder were playing the Spurs were playing to win, and the Thunder were playing not to lose in the first half, and it looked like that was going to be the case the whole game, but then in the second half the Thunder started shooting lights out. They were being aggressive, going to the hoop. Durant wasn't sitting on the perimeter. He was drawing fouls. And once they started drawing fouls and getting to the free throw line, there's nothing you can do when the best free throw shooting team in the league is getting to the free throw line. And, there's nothing you can do to stop them from scoring at that when they're shooting their free throws. And that... one thing Durant doesn't get enough credit for is his rebounding. He led the team in rebound, or he had 14 rebounds last night. That is unheard of from a guy that's that skinny,
Absolutely, and it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that he's 6'10".
Well,
he's got the height. But I get what you're saying. You know, he's a guy that can do everything. He can facilitate the basketball when he needs to. He can rebound, get 10 plus a game in a big game like it was last night in Game 6, and he can put up 30 plus. You know, we were talking yesterday, and he was going to have a big game because you knew the Spurs were going to come out and they were going to have a great game because they are a veteran leg club. You know, they maybe do not have the legs, the young legs like the Thunder do, but you knew they were going to come out. They're smart, they're an intelligent team. You knew they were going to come out and have a good game. It's just a matter of what the Thunder come out and respond to that, you know, not so good first half, and they come out and have a great second half. Now, what were your thoughts on Westbrook? 25 points, 5 assists in Game 6. He also had 5 turnovers, and it also goes to the debate of the 5 assists, the 5 turnovers, but he had 25 points. I thought he played a pretty good game last night. He might have had 5 turnovers, but to me there wasn't that big turnover that really impacted the Thunder in a negative way.
I think it's a situation. Now, I'm a Knicks fan, so I haven't been able to root for anything since Linsanity, and that's not much to root for. But Westbrook's game, the way I watch him, I grade him on a scale of, okay, I can take the turnover. The turnovers I have no problem with. And it's the same thing with when Lin was on fire and just willing that Knicks team to victories. It was like, you can live with the turnovers because it's not lazy turnovers like he's just throwing it to the other team or unforced. They're unforced turnovers, but it's turnovers where they're trying to make plays. And I think that's completely different than from it's the same thing with what's his name, Derrick Rose, but he has fewer turnovers, but he's not gonna have it's not like you can expect him to go out and have 0 turnovers and 15 assists. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So I can live with the turnovers because he's taking chances. Now, if that doesn't always work in the playoffs, but it worked this time because they're good enough, and last year it killed him, and now everybody loves Westbrook, which was, it's not like he got that much better over the offseason and not turning the ball over. It's just the turnovers weren't as costly this year. And am I right or wrong on that?
In some ways, this game, you're right. There was a few possessions in Game 5 where they were empty. They had a couple turnovers. He slipped and lost the ball, and that happens.
Yeah.
And then you have a backcourt violation, and then you just had a complete. He drove to the hole and he put up a wild shot. And sometimes that's going to happen with a guy that's that explosive, and I think that's what people don't understand. Is that the Thunder need that explosiveness from Russell Westbrook because you're getting scoring from Harden off the bench. You're getting primary scoring, obviously, from Westbrook when he puts up his 20 to 25 points. And then, obviously, you have the best scorer, in my opinion, in the NBA, Kevin Durant. You need those guys to score. And Westbrook can pretty much run any point guard in the NBA. I mean, I know you have Derrick Rose, who's just as athletic and quick and fast, but when he's healthy, Westbrook is just completely fast, completely gets to the hole consistently. Whether he gets fouled or not, that's the situation. But it is what it is. I really like Russell Westbrook's game. Now let's go to another debate we were talking about yesterday. That could be a legitimate debate pretty soon. If not the end of this year, into next year. And that's James Harden. That's another place where they get their scoring off the bench is James Harden. And they also get some great defense and some occasional mid-ranges. He's improving his mid-range, and that's Serge Ibaka.
Yeah.
There's going to come a point to where they have Westbrook signed long-term, $580 million. They have Durant signed long-term, which they got that done a couple years ago. You're not going to be able to keep everybody. In this day and age in the NBA, it's going to be hard to keep everybody. Let's put it that way. So if the Thunder have to choose one guy between James Harden and Serge Ibaka, who are you keeping? Who are you signing long term? Who are you giving that contract to? Let's put it that way.
I'm giving not a Garnett-esque deal to what's his name, to Ibaka, but I'm giving him some big bucks because you can't replace. He brings the height he brings, the athleticism he brings. I mean, he's starting to hit a mid-range jump shot. That's huge. If they let him go and kept Harden, they may be able to win one more championship. But if they have Ibaka for the next, say, 5 years, they could win multiple champion. They could win not only 2, maybe 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but they could make a huge run with this group. And let me throw something else out at you.
Okay.
I've never, after watching that post-game celebration and everything, I've never seen a team as unified as they were after that game. Whether it was a championship or a championship, winning conference title, whatever. They all had their arms around each other like they were little kids that just won a Pee-wee soccer game. And I've never seen that from a team. They all had their arms around each other like like little kids, like that just won a game. And you don't see that. And I think it's possible that Harden and Ibaka could be selfless enough to take a lesser paycheck to sacrifice to win multiple championships together. Because I think it all starts with Durant. Durant is the best player on that team. He's unselfish. Westbrook is the wild card. But everybody else on that team is willing to sacrifice for the good of the team. And I think that could show with whether one or both of them sign.
Well, and then the second thing here is with Harden is I believe, was supposed to be a restricted free agent after next year. So whatever teams offer, the Thunder has to match.
Right.
So it's not really in the Thunder court of how much they're willing to give him. It's more of, will they be able to match another team's offer of what they offer him? And that's going to be the decision that the Thunder are going to have to make ultimately with James Harden. Do they want to match that deal? Or do they want to say, hey, we're going to go another route. We love you, James Harden. We appreciate everything you've done for us over the last 4 or so years, but we're going to move in another direction. We're going to Serge Ibaka. Let me throw this out. Not a fan.
Oh, sorry. Well, last thing about that is it really just comes down to the agent, what type of agent he has, too.
Both are really young. Harden is actually younger than Durant and Westbrook.
Right.
2 years old.
Well, isn't it amazing that all these guys are one-and-doners that they have that are their stars, and then some guy from the Congo, and they haven't had the problems that any other young team has had. Like they went through the growing pains, but it was not nearly as drastic as like a Minnesota has gone through with. They've just missed on just a lot of things, and it's just odd to me to see this type of unity from that team. So
it depends on the player development and the staple of the organization. I don't think Minnesota until maybe the last couple of years has really had that staple. Minnesota is getting some better players in there. You know, whether it's through trade or they got Kevin Love. I think that was the beginning of it. Then you draft a guy like Rubio, and then you had 2 first-round picks in a row. I really didn't agree with this one pick.
Mm-hmm.
But, the pick was Ricky Rubio and having him develop a little bit more overseas, and then you have Kevin Love, because everything's going to stay healthy there, but that's a different situation. But then in terms of the Thunder, I think they have a really good core, great core, probably the unified core. And I will give you this. It's not fair to the Boston Celtics that you said that's probably the best you've ever seen in terms of the unified core. We saw in 08, 3 superstars, Ray Allen, AG, Paul Pierce, obviously, they came together and they won a championship as well, and you could tell that team was unified. So it's not just the Thunder, but for the Thunder to be 23, 22, 22, such a young team, and be unified, I think is what you're trying to get at. Yeah. Is probably what is the most impressive thing, and I will give you that. But we do have to move on here to our next topic, but we want to remind our podcast listeners that you are listening to the Good Time Sports Report podcast. And you can follow that show on Twitter at Good Times Sports, Good Times Sports Report Podcast, which is Good Times Sports Podcast. Excuse me. And then also, you can follow Bob on Twitter at Bob Sullivan Show, and then myself at Andrew_Big. You can also find our Facebook page. Just type in Good Times Sports Report Podcast on Facebook, and you'll be able to like the page and follow also what we have to say on our Facebook page. Alright, so here's another thing. Going into tonight, Bob, you got Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Miami Heat are traveling up to Boston. I'm not going to ask you your prediction right now, but let's go through the key moments that could potentially happen tonight. You know, the drama leading into the game. You got Chris Bosh, who might or might not start tonight. He probably should.
Right.
And then you got Boston with the possibility of being able to close this out in 6 at home, as the Thunder did to San Antonio last night. What is your big key to the game for either side?
I think the key is Doc Rivers is coaching the Celtics, and Eric Spoelstra is coaching the Miami Heat. And there is no... I'm not giving the Heat no chance, but if they win, it's going to be because LeBron goes off for 50. He basically has what he did to the Knicks in the Garden, where he has like 50, 10 assists, and like 15 rebounds. And it's not going to be... They're going to have to blow him out from the get-go. And if anything else, there's just no... This isn't in Eric Spoelstra's hands, because obviously he can't coach. And he has a lot of problems with in-game. His in-game strategy is more than questionable, and it's just not going to... It's not working with him as their coach, mainly because he's not a coach, and he needs to go back to the film room and just stay there for the next 10 years.
We will get to the whole Eric Spoelstra, should he remain with the Heat in terms of near the end of the show when we have our True False segment. But when it comes to, and I'm going to give Spoelstra a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I'm not giving him much of the benefit of the doubt when it comes to Bosh. I think he should have played in the fourth quarter. We talked about that yesterday. But since the podcast was out, we're talking about it again today. I believe he should have played. Didn't have to play all 12 minutes. Played 6, 7 minutes. Would have been the difference in the game. At least his presence would have been out there. How good of a defensive player he would have been last night in the fourth quarter, not sure. Probably not as great as he could be because coming back from the injury, but he could have scored another 8 to 10 points. Key points for Miami as they were leading in the fourth quarter in Game 5. Mm-hmm. They could have kept that lead, and they could be up 3-2 heading to Boston instead of Boston being up with the chance to close it out. Now, here's an interesting question. It sounds like you're picking the Miami Heat to lose tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So Boston, in your mind, is closing it out tonight. It's over. Is the big three going to be split up in your mind if Miami loses tonight?
I think they do something drastic. See, I just don't know what they do. Like, obviously, you're like if you're gonna, they're gonna really have to show what they want to be. If they want to have LeBron be I guess the guy there, then they're gonna have to get rid of Dwayne Wade. If they want to stick with Dwayne Wade because he's been there, he basically is the Miami Heat, then they're going to have to either trade LeBron for a lot more. Like, I don't even think you can trade LeBron at this point, but they're going to have to trade him for...
They won't be trading LeBron. Let me put that out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're trading LeBron. Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
That if they do end up trading... I think he's the guy that's been the most consistent player for the Miami Heat. You know, you can talk about, oh, he doesn't come up in the clutch, or he doesn't make the big-time shot to win the game, and, you know, and all that is credible. But when you look at Dwayne Wade has struggled, especially in the Pacers series at the beginning.
Yeah.
He was pretty much non-existent. He didn't look like he was healthy, and he's never going to use that as an excuse. We all know that, and that's admirable of him. But when you don't use that as an excuse, we expect you that you're healthy, and we expect you to play like you're at that level that you were back in '06 when you won the championship, and when you're at that superstar level that we grade you on. And he hasn't been that way.
No.
He finished up with 27 points in Game 5. Yes, he did. But he struggled and only scored 7 of those points in the first half. And yes, they were winning, but you still need that production late in games. And let me give you this stat, and I've said it to a lot of people that just want to rip LeBron James without even thinking about Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade has missed more clutch shots with 24 seconds or less the last 2 years since they've been together in the playoffs than LeBron James has. And you want to say, oh, well, we rated LeBron James with the highest standards. Well, Dwayne Wade has a ring.
Yeah.
So we know he can do this. So why isn't he doing it? I understand you missed shots. It happens. But he's missed more shots than LeBron James has. 1 more shot. 2 more shots. Including the one he missed that got the Celtics their game 4 wins in overtime. So why isn't he making it? He has a ring. He's done it before. We expect him to be the closer, and he hasn't done it. So why are you ripping LeBron James? Yes, he does deserve blame in those critical situations just like else, because he does go up there and he sometimes does miss free throws. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also the one that's carrying the team on a consistent basis with 30-some-odd points, 9, 10 rebounds, 8 to 10 assists a game, too. So you can't rip him for that. He's there. He's consistent. Dwayne Wade's not the one that's consistent. Now, you're going to have to talk about trading guys with crazy amount of salary. That's going to be difficult. Well, but if you're Pat Riley, you have to at least listen to the teams that may call it.
Well, with Dwayne Wade, if that argument where Spoelstra's like, it wouldn't be fair to Chris Bosh if I were to play him in the fourth quarter. Well, you know, you guys, that team was bitching and moaning the whole Indiana series about about Dwayne Wade's knee. Why was he playing in the fourth quarter in those games if Chris Bosh wasn't able to play? He wasn't effective in those early games versus the Pacers. I mean, come on. I mean, Spoelstra's the one that needs... If anything, Spoelstra's the one that needs to go. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody said they need to get Phil Jackson in there. And that's not going to happen. Phil Jackson is not going to coach a Pat Riley team. Pat Riley and Phil Jackson hate each other. And
right. I'm going to be sending Christmas cards here.
No. And I would never send a Christmas card to Phil Jackson and Pat Riley. I would never send one to Pat Riley either. But there's just this thing where it's like, where do these people get these harebrained theories that's the answer to all? Is Phil Jackson, Pat Riley? First of all, these two are like 70 years old. They're probably not. I mean, Riley does not connect with Dwayne Wade. If Riley's going to coach, it's going to be because if Dwayne Wade leaves, Riley will be the coach. If Dwayne Wade doesn't leave and they stick with the same 3, they'll probably have to go with a different coach, and I don't know who that is.
That's interesting. So, we'll see what happens down the line. I want to remind our listeners again, you're listening to the Good Time Sports Report podcast, and now we're going into the diamond portion of our segment now, of our show, and that is the All-Star ballot. It's coming up.
Yes, it is.
We all know it's coming up. Fans are voting for the All-Star game, everything like that. We got about a month away in the Carolina League and the minor leagues where I cover the All-Star games in a couple weeks. Obviously, things are coming up very quickly. So let's go through our All-Star guide. I didn't change anything, obviously. obviously these are stats from a couple days ago that we got, so they're a little bit different, but not too much in a couple days since I recorded my guys on MLB.com. But let's go from the American League down to the National League. We're going to position by position. We have a few different, some, we have a few same, but some are different. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing, because there's more than one right answer. There's really, I won't say no wrong answer, but there's a few guys that definitely deserve the starting spot. And we consider these guys starters as well right now.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Obviously, these guys will probably be in there, but we think these guys will start. And we're going to start in the American League at the catcher position. There was a couple that I was going around. But Jared Tuomakia, to me, is probably the best choice after looking through everything, looking through numbers, and obviously watching the games this year. Jared Tuomakia, he leads Major Leagues. He's among the Major League leaders in catchers with home runs. He's got 11. And to me, he's just taken over that pitching staff. He's taken charge of that team. There's been nothing but rave reviews about him in that organization. I saw him, like I said, with the Braves. When he came up with the Braves, then traded to the Rangers. I knew he was going to be this type of guy. Not that I'm bragging about it, but watching him with the Braves when he came up, I knew he had this kind of potential, and it's great to see him finally realizing that and putting up the all-star numbers, caliber numbers that he is.
I agree with that. However, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go A.J. Pierzynski. I love him as a player. I think he got 37 RBI, hitting over 300. Team's in first place. Who would have thought the White Sox without Ozzie Guillen could be in first place? And who better to get plowed over at the plate than A.J. Pierzynski at the All-Star game?
I would. I don't know if I want to be plotting over him, though. That's for sure.
I wouldn't, but I would want to see. I would want to see somebody plow him over. I wouldn't do that myself, but I would like to see somebody else attempt it.
Well, when we go to first base, now I don't know if you're a White Sox fan or if you're a Twins fan or you're a Royals fan. You've mentioned
no
all three of them. What's your favorite team?
I'm in. Actually, this could be a fan vote because for who I should root for a team. Because after last year, after Ron Santo died, I was a Cubs fan since I was born, and after Ron Santo died, I used to listen to the Cubs radio quite a bit, and after he died, it just wasn't the same. And so now, then I went to rooting for the Nationals last year, and it just doesn't feel right because they're good. And so now I'm kind of in a hiatus of trying to find a new team. So if you fans out there want to vote on who I should root for, then go right ahead and tell me who I should root for. And whoever gets...
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Make a poll on your website. Do anything you need to, because this man is looking for a new team. I've had my team now for, let's see, I'm 23 years old, probably about 15, 16 years now, so there's no doubt with me. But this man is looking for a new team, so help him out, get him on Twitter, follow him on Twitter at Bob Sullivan Show, and tell him what his favorite team should be. Tell him why your team should be his favorite team. That's a great idea.
Right.
I like it. Well, let's go to first base now. Paul Konerko, to me, is a guy, and now he's having a little wrist issues, but he's just day-to-day. He should be back. I try to go with some guys that are healthy, that deserve it, and obviously Paul Konerko should be okay. He should be back in a couple days, hopefully for the White Sox, as they are in first place. But he hit 379 in May.
Right.
6 homers, 18 RBIs. He's 11 on the season, 33 RBIs. He's just a guy that's been consistent. He's quietly been consistent. And he's just a guy that's going to go out there. He's always going to give you production at the plate, and obviously at first base, sometimes DH. Mostly first base now with Adam Dunn being the DH. But I think he's a guy that deserves a knock there.
I'm going to go Prince Fielder for the simple fact that he is he's hitting .318, 9 home runs, 36 RBI. His production, considering the contract he just got, and considering how big he is, usually, I was expecting a Mo Vaughn type collapse from him once he signed that deal, and that didn't happen. So I'm going to go with him as the first baseman.
But not at this point, he's not on pace to hit 40 home runs either. And like I said, it's a new league. He's adjusting to a new league, and that's usually what happens. It usually takes about a year because the pitching is different from the American League, the National League, and vice versa. So it does take. Look at Dan Ugla last year for the Braves, and we'll get to that in a little bit. And he was hitting 170 until the second half of the year when he went on that 33-game hitting streak. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Second baseman Jason Kipnis is my vote. 289 homers, 34 RBIs relatively the last couple days. That's what the stats were. Consistent all year for a contending team. Would have thought that maybe the Indians would be. They were in it last year, but then fell off. And it was a bad start with Ubaldo Jimenez getting suspended. Derek Lowe has really been something on that team with the starting pitching, so that's also helping out. But Jason Kipnis has been a consistent hitter for the Cleveland Indians so far this year.
I'm going to go the Robbie Cano route.
Don't you know?
What do you know? Robbie Cano. And, yeah, he's, 9 home runs, 25 RBI. He's not, Kipnis has better numbers, but I don't know. I'm just a Robbie Cano. I like Robbie Cano. It's an all-star game. He's going to put a ball into the stands.
He's also the captain of the home run derby as well.
That's true. That is true. Well, then maybe you don't want him starting at second base because he'll get rid of all his home runs in the home run derby. Yeah, I'll still stick with Robbie Cano though.
Okay. Well, now as we go to shortstop, who's your shortstop?
I think I'm gonna go Jeter. And it's kind of he's 6 home runs. He's hitting .323. Everybody thought this guy was done. Rightfully so. And, he's had kind of a rejuvenated season. And how can you not like Derek Jeter? He's a class act. I love the guy. And I'm going to go, Jeter.
I agree on everything you just said. And he also, to add, hit .389 in April. So he got off to an amazing start, and he's still hitting really well right now. It's tough to keep up at a .389 clip, obviously. He's still hitting well over 300 as we getting near the middle of the second week, third week of June. Third baseman, got to go with Adrian Beltre, the Rangers. There's many options here. But he's on the best team in the American League, second best team in baseball record-wise. Hitting a little over 300, around the 300 mark. He's got double-digit homers. He's been one of the consistent guys all year again for the best team in the American League, and he's also one of the better defensive third basemen in the game as well. So Adrian Beltre is my vote.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I know I said yesterday that I was gonna go Miguel Cabrera, but I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go Alex Rodriguez because he's one of my personal heroes, and.
You're a Yankees fan here.
I'm not. No, I'm definitely not a Yankees. Well, I could be. I would not have a problem being a Yankees fan. It would have. I'm a Giants and a Knicks fan. It would have saved me a lot of heartache over the years if I had just chosen the Yankees instead of the Cubs. But I'm going to go A-Rod because I like him as not only as a human being but as a baseball player. He's gonna bring some hot babe with him. We're gonna get a look at her in the during when they're going through their clips and stuff of people in the stands. His girlfriend's gonna be shown, and she's probably hot. So I'm gonna go A-Rod at third base.
All right, that's a great reason to pick Alex Rodriguez. And for those fans listening to our podcast now, any Yankees fans want to hit him up on Twitter? It looks like he's preferring the Yankees right now. Let's go to the outfield spot here, and I'm going to name my 3 right off the bat. Josh Hamilton, Adam Jones, and maybe a little bit of a surprise out there. He was a write-in, and that's Mike Trout. hitting well over 300. He's doing really well with the Angels this year. He kind of helped resurge that Angels team that got off to a horrible start. And right now, they are right in it with the Texas Rangers. They're just about a few down, 3-4 games out of the AL West when they were in last place in the month of April, near the end of April. So they've really gotten off to a better start in May, now into June.
I'm going to go Hamilton, Joey Bats, and I'm going to go with, what's his name, Adam Jones. And, I mean, Joey Bats going to bring the pop. Josh Hamilton is the natural, I guess you could call him. And then Adam Jones is just, I mean, speed. I mean, he's got it all. And, I mean, that team, that Buck Showalter team, they're getting hot right now. Adam Jones is good. I just think he deserves a start over a Curtis Granderson right now. Sorry,
Fair
Yankees
enough.
fans.
Fair enough. And the DH, I believe, at least in my opinion, I think this is unanimous. I got to go David Ortiz for the Red Sox. Obviously now he's one of the best DHs in the game the last few years. Double-digit homers, 37 plus RBIs. Last couple days. A couple days ago, he had 37 RBIs. So again, it just brings back to the point. He's probably the best DH in the American League still.
I'm gonna go Adam Dunn because that guy is built like a house. He's and he's gonna hit a ball 500 feet, and I just love the guy. He's kind of lazy. He's kind of lazy, and I mean, he has the kind of I don't care what I look like attitude, and I think that really benefits him in my voting for the designated hitter.
And he's coming back off a horrible first year in the American League, you know?
Well,
again,
it was horrible.
back to the second year.
It was horrible hitting-wise, even his standards, which is saying something.
I mean, he hit under 200. I think that's horrible for a lot of people. And here's the case, is that it was his first year in the American League. Second year, again, he's used to the new league now that he's in, and he's benefiting, and he's going back to the Adams on the hold, and you got to appreciate that. So let's go to the National League, Bob. Who's your catcher?
I'm gonna go Yachty. Yachty Molina. He's hitting like a machine right now. Not the machine, but he's got like 8 home runs, and he's just a monster. I mean, the guy is slow as dirt, but yet he's still hitting over 300, like 326, and 8 home runs. And he's the best offensive catcher in the game right now. So I'm going Yachty.
Obviously can't disagree with you there in terms of what P.O.D. or Molina brings to the table, and that, of course, loves to play. You name that Molina game show.
Mm-hmm.
Name that Molina, all the Molinas that are basically got Jose down in Tampa Bay, and then Benji just recently retired, and now Yachty with the Cardinals. But I've got to go with my guy. I've got to go with my boy who's a consecutive time All-Star since 06, 07, 08, 09, 2010, 2011, so he would be, in my opinion, a 7-time All-Star, and that's Brian McCann. And he's missed a few games this year because of the flu, and he also got a contusion. He was out for a couple days. But he's starting to get on the roll a little bit. He's hitting the ball the opposite way, 255, 7 homers, 28 RBIs. So he's just the guy that's there. He's their leader. He's the leader. And you can say Chipper Jones, but I'll tell you what, Brian McCann is the leader of that team still when it comes to the on the field, to the pitching staff, and he's still one of the best hitters on the team. He hits cleanup. Not many catchers hit cleanup in the batting order.
No, and he has yet to have a fall from grace, much like Mr. Head and Shoulders. What's his name? Joe Mauer. So yeah.
Exactly.
Who do you got at first base? Because I mean, it's not as deep as it used to be. in the National League for first baseman, but it's still decent. Who are you taking at first base?
Well, and there's a couple guys, obviously. Now that Prince Fielder's gone from the National League, and as you said, he's gone. And also Ryan Howard is injured.
Yeah.
Got to take that into the equation as well. He hasn't played all year. He tore his ACL at the end of the division series as they got eliminated. With I gotta admit, I was smiling when the Phillies got eliminated last year. But I'm still gonna go with Freddie Freeman. And this is not a knock to Joey Votto at all. Joey Votto's having a great year. Well, Freddie Freeman was hot as anybody could be. At a few points during the season, he won Player of the Week 2 out of 3 times, and 2 out of the 3-week span. He had some eye issues up in Colorado. He's been fiddling around with goggles and glasses and wearing contacts and everything. But he's finally got rid of glasses. He's got the contacts in and everything's working for him. He had a good night last night. He's hitting 253 with 8 homers, 36 RBIs. He's a guy that can hit 25 to 30 homers, and that's what he's going to finish with. Same with Votto. But I think both of them will be there. I've got to go with my guy Freeman to start, though.
I'm probably going to go... I'll go Votto. I mean, LaHair, I'd like to see LaHair, but yeah, Votto is probably the correct choice there. But, I mean, you're going to obviously go, like I did with the Yankees, you're going to do what you do with the Braves, and everybody's going to be a Brave on this team.
Not everybody's going to be
or a former Brave.
Not everybody. No, not even that. But, I mean, and Dan Ugla is very deserving of being at the second base. He's been consistent all year. He's on pace to probably have more walks in his career. The most walks in his career since 2009 when he walked 92 times. He's walked 36 times already. And his average is 272, which right now is his highest average since 2010 when he hit 287. And he's never hit over 260, or actually 282 in his career. So 282, 287. He's a guy that can still hit 260. Everybody just thinks about last year when he was hitting 170 and he had the 33-game hitting streak. He's a guy that's been in there every single inning for the Atlanta Braves this year. 10 homers, 37 RBIs in 56 games. He's a grinder. It's just he's the kind of guy you'd want on your team. He never wants to come out of the game. And actually, and it's funny, Freddie Gonzalez told reporters, you're going to be the one that's telling him he's not going to be playing a game sometime because it's not going to be me. So Dan was a guy that you always want on your all-star team, and I think he deserves it this year.
Well, and the guy, a guy built like that playing second base, you got to love him playing. You got to love him playing second base in the All-Star game. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one for sure.
All right, that's good. Shortstop. There's a couple guys you can pick here. If Andrelton Simmons started the season for the Braves, I'd probably pick him. But Starlin Castro is a guy for the Cubs. He's one of the best young shortstops in the game of baseball right now. He's pretty fast. He's pretty fast. He's got occasional pop, but he's got a good average.
Yeah.
And that's what really helps the Cubs. And I think giving him to the young guy on a team that's rebuilding, he's doing a really good job for that Cubs team.
Well, I'm gonna go Rafael Furcal. Resurgent, and I'm surprised you didn't go with him because he's a former Brave, but he's had a resurgence here in the last year and a half or so with the the Cardinals, and without him, the Cardinals aren't. Their offense isn't rolling quite the way it was to start. Now it's kind of they hit a little bit of a rough patch, but they'll be fine.
I went back and forth on it. Third base, I think we're unified here with David Wright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we also want to. Well, we also want the Chipper Jones, Cal Ripken moment. So.
Absolutely, he will be there, and I will make sure that when I vote a few more times, I will include him in there. But for the purposes of this show, with this voting, in terms of starting, I think David Wright does deserve the opportunity to start in the All-Star game. Definitely believe Chipper should be in there, though, because when he does play, he's he's having a great year right now. It's just a matter of him coming back. He's eligible to come off the disabled list on Friday, so he comes back. And then the outfield, I'm going to go with one of the best leadoff hitters in the game, Michael Bourne. He's hitting over 300. He has 5 homers, believe it or not, this year. Not a guy that really not many homers, but he has 5. And then the guy who's quietly one of the best outfielders in the game. He hit a 3-run homer last night, and that's Andrew McCutcheon.
Right.
Definitely one of the best outfielders for the Pirates. And then the guy who's really impressed me, who has actually proved me wrong in terms of how he would fare this season if he would get called up, and that's Bryce Harper.
Okay.
A walk-off base hit the other night, and the team's in first place. He's been a big part of that since he's come up.
Is he? Yeah, I'd agree with you on all those. I'm probably gonna go Carlos Beltran. I mean, the guy
I went back and forth on that.
is. I mean, 15 home runs, 42 RBI. The guy has had in the last couple of years has gotten back to where not MVP availability. I mean, he could be this year. He could be an MVP candidate this year. And again, moving to right field, I like him in the outfield. Cargo, maybe, but I'm going to go Gio Carlos or John Carlos. I'm going to just call him Mike Stanton, the non-pitching Mike Stanton in the outfield. And I'm going to go Hunter Pence because Hunter Pence is a great guy and he does everything just weird. And I love the way he plays.
Yes, you are correct on that for sure. Let's go. We finished up the All-Star for position players. So let's go to some prospects here. I know you have a guy you like that is going to be playing soon. And also my guy, who I will be seeing pitching tonight, he hasn't been the number 1 prospect in baseball. Believe it or not, at this point, in my opinion, and according to ESPN's Keith Wall's opinion as well. And that's Dylan Bundy.
Okay.
Dylan Bundy for the Orioles, 2-1 with a 0.68 ERA in only 40 innings this year. He is lights out. And the reason he lost was because he gave up 1 home run, or it wasn't a home run. He gave up 1 run in a 1-0 loss the other day to Wilmington. It was an unfortunate incident. Frederick Keys couldn't score anything, and he ended up getting a tough luck loss. But this guy, he throws 98 to 100, devastating, has a devastating curveball, which the Bundy family is known for. I've talked to his brother as well. I've interviewed both of them up close, and they're both great guys. They have great heads on their shoulders. He's a guy you want to look at as being a guy that maybe be up in Baltimore by, depends on how Dan Duquette and the Orioles organization wants to handle it, no earlier than September call-up of next year.
Wow.
So look for that. I think it should be, I wouldn't mind giving him a cup of coffee, depending on how he does at the minor league level to the major league level in September of next year. But I wouldn't look for that until then. Keep him on your dynasty list if you play dynasty fantasy baseball, or keep him on your list of prospects because he is up there and he will stay up there.
The one I want to talk about is, I just want to mention Bubba Starling really quick. He is a former. He was supposed to go play football at Nebraska, and some upset Nebraska fans were criticizing him for taking millions of dollars to go play baseball instead of coming to Nebraska to play football. But anybody who criticizes a guy to go play baseball when it's a guaranteed contract and nothing's guaranteed in football, anybody criticizing him is an idiot. And he is all. I mean, he hasn't gotten started yet. He can start rookie ball here in a little bit. But I'd also like to mention good friend of the show, of the Bob Sullivan show. That is Ryan Tatusco of the.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're talking about that.
Yeah, of the Harrisburg Senators. He's in. He had a rough year last year. And this year he went into spring training to work on his. his head movement was not correct, and so that was giving him problems with the movement on his pitches. So he was correcting that, and then he got asked to be to stay for extended spring training. Now he's back with the Harrisburg Nationals, and Harrisburg Senators, excuse me. And he's right now 1-1, trying to recover from that the horrid season he had last year, which he will admit to. And he's sort of struggling, but he's getting things back together here, and hopefully we'll see him up in the majors soon.
Last year, I don't remember seeing his name on the roster when I went to watch filmmaking last year.
Oh, he was with Syracuse last year.
He was in AAA. Okay, because I don't remember seeing him. That's good that he's getting back with the Harrisburg Senators as well. But
please follow the rest of this 2-part podcast on part 2 of our debut podcast. Find it on Podbean or at Sports Rants with the Z/Bob Sullivan Show. Please follow the rest of this two-part podcast on part 2 of our debut podcast. Find it on Podbean or at Sports Rants with the Z / Bob Sullivan Show. Please follow the rest of this two-part podcast on part 2 of our debut podcast. Find it on Podbean or at Sports Rants with the Z / Bob Sullivan Show.